Hey, this is I Like Rice, episode 2. Today I'm going to talk about the 1997 Carol Kane, Molly Ringwald favorite, 16 Candles Part 7. Wait, no, Office Killer. This is a horror show, right? Office Killer. Now, this one was surprisingly good. I really enjoyed it. It does harken back to every 90s Office movie before Office Space, of course. They totally redefined that type of movie, if that's even really a type of movie. But if you go back and you watch these movies, or you go watch Office Space, or not Office Space, Office Killer, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's almost like the Office scenes in Batman, but the whole thing is based in the Office like that. All right, well, this movie is set in a magazine editing office, and they are facing downsizing. People are being fired, they're having their hours cut, they're being sent home to work instead of being in the office. And people start dying. So, today I want to talk about the best scenes, the totally unbelievable things that occur in the movie, and the dumb decisions made by the characters. Now, thankfully, in this one, Category 1 is much bigger than Categories 2 and 3. Like I said, I really enjoyed this film. You can watch it on Shudder.com if you have a subscription. If you don't, you should get one because it's totally worth it. All right, so the first scene that really stuck out to me was pretty early on. It's Carol Kane's character, Doreen. Now, Doreen's a pretty timid woman. She's a proofreader, and she really just works and takes care of her mother, who has mobility issues at home. And she doesn't like to be touched. We'll get to that later on. And she keeps to herself for the most part. She actually has to be kind of like nudged to interact with people. Anyways, she's at home preparing a meal for her mother and getting ready to take it upstairs, and she sees her cat on the counter, shoos him away, and then notices that the cat has brought in a mouse, and the mouse is dead. She picks up the mouse and takes it over the sink, and actually takes some time looking at it, turns on the water, is just staring at this mouse, and then just drops it into the disposal. Now, that was freaking weird. Now, one, I would never put a freaking mouse in my disposal, even if it was dead, because that's just gonna stink and get all gunky. But she took this in for a while, almost like she was getting some pleasure out of it. Now, she didn't smile or anything, but it was freaking weird. And I mean, obviously it stuck out to me, so there's that. It really kind of gives you a little more about Doreen's character, that she's not just this timid proofreader, but that there's some weird stuff going on under the surface. The next big scene for me was when there was the first death. Now, it wasn't a kill. It was just a death in this movie. Doreen is staying late with Gary, her coworker, and working on a story, making sure that it's the layout is right, and getting everything ready for the next day. The power goes out. She goes off into a different room. I think she needed to go to the restroom or something like that. And Gary's working on trying to get the power back on. She walks back into the room, and for whatever reason, Gary startles Doreen. She falls backwards, hits something on the wall, and causes a surge. And it kills Gary because he's got his hands on some electrical wires. Kills him. Now, she doesn't... she freaks out a little bit. She doesn't cry or scream or anything, but you can see it on her face. She goes over to the phone, picks it up, dials 911 like any normal person would do. But once the operator picks up the phone, she stops the normal part. She hangs up the phone without saying anything, even though she's being asked questions, and she sits down and starts to berate Gary while he's there on the floor. Yeah, you are not a very pleasant man. You're not very nice at all. All this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what the crap is wrong with this woman? And then she continues on to put his body into her car. That was freaking weird, right? All right, now this is the first thing that popped out to me that was totally unbelievable in this movie. Nobody ever came from that 911 call. Nobody called back. Not the cops didn't show up while she was pulling Gary's body down to her car. Which, I mean, it's weird that she's doing that, but she didn't kill him. She was just there when he got killed. It wasn't her fault. They didn't call the next morning. Nobody showed up ever. Now, in 1997, they didn't have the technology we do today, but in 1993, they could find out where you were calling from and be able to send somebody out there without you telling them when you called 911. So this was, I didn't buy it at all. I was like, what in the world? No, this should have put a screw in the whole thing, so that, I didn't buy that. Anyways, the next big scene was Doreen's father's death. Now this takes us back in time to when Doreen was a teenage girl. I think she was 13, 14, sitting in the back seat of the car. Her dad's driving, her mom's in the passenger seat, and her mom is like, you would not believe the things that your daughter has said about you, the things that she thinks and says. They're so dirty. I can't believe this. I'm like, what is she talking about? This is so weird. All these lies that are coming out of her mouth. We need to wash her mouth out with soap. And then her dad reaches around and grabs her knee and is like, oh, she just sees how strong a man I am. She wants a man like her dad. And it's like, oh, this is getting freaking creepy, right? So obviously what they're trying to do is show you that he's a freaking pedophile creeper, and this is why Doreen does not like to be touched, which is illustrated throughout the movie. Now, what ends up happening is while he's got his hand back there, oh, does this tickle? She just grabs his hand and pulls it down and won't let him get it back, and he loses control of the car and hits a light pole. I'm pretty sure he got ejected because he was real bloody when he got out, when the medics wheeled him away. And that's how her father died. But that really does give a lot of backstory to Doreen, kind of shows that this is not the first time that she's been involved in mysterious deaths, and can show you that she's got some scars. She's got some stuff that she needs to be seen a therapist about, and really needs to work out with that therapist and her mother. But that never happens, because the next scene that stuck out to me involves her mother's death. Now, she's killed a few people at this point. She's gotten her hands bloody, and is actively doing it. She's killed some Girl Scouts even. They were just trying to sell her cookies, right? And she takes the cookies too. But she knocks out Nora. Now, Nora is the woman who is in charge of giving people their cut status, whether they lost their jobs or they've gotten their hours cut or now they're working from home. She's the one who decides these things, and then also has to tell the people, has to inform the people about them. Now, she knocks Nora out, doesn't kill her, but takes her back to her house while she's still unconscious. She drags Nora's body into the house, goes upstairs to check on her mom, finds her mom is dead, and she freaks. A lot of the berating, but also the, I need you, why are you gone, all that kind of stuff. Freaks out. She's got freaking bodies in her basement. She's knocked out the woman who actually has been talking about how great she was, and talking about how she could get her hours back and be the lifeblood of the new company once it's been revived. she's freaking out about this woman, her mother, granted, who covered up the sexual abuse of her father. Now she does what any normal person would do, calls for emergency assistance, and the medics show up. They take her body away, and this movie's got some pretty dark comedy in it, and part of that is when the medics are bringing her mother's body out, they say, one of them says to the other, and the next one's in the basement. This whole place smells of death. And then the other medic's like, shut up. Like, why are you making these jokes? This woman just lost her mom, dude. Let's get out of here. Now, I laughed with that. I mean, it's got a few jokes like that throughout this movie. It is pretty classic. Now, again, this introduces us to an unbelievable part in the movie. As soon as these medics leave, Doreen walks into her house, and there on the island in the middle of the kitchen, light on, nothing hiding it, is a severed human hand, and it's pretty mutilated. Now, it's like, nobody would have missed this. It's out in the open. It's not hidden. It's under a light. It's obviously a human hand that's been mutilated. There's no reason that this shouldn't have been seen, especially after reporting the death of a person. It's like, what in the freaking world? Unbelievable. It doesn't work at all. Thankfully, like I've said so far, this movie is pretty good, so I can forgive that moment of oversight. Now, the one mistake that I really think that Doreen made was not killing Nora when she brought her into the house. Now, she did plan this. She meant to knock her out. She took her into the basement after, once she had brought her into the house, tied her up, and really paraded her in front of all of the dead people. Why don't you tell them how you've stolen all this money? That you're the reason there's no money to pay their checks. Why don't you tell them about all the funds that you've embezzled? Now, the reason that this is a mistake is because Nora, of course, gets away. Now, Doreen does catch up and kill her. It doesn't lead to a lasting problem for Doreen, but it was an issue that she could have avoided by just killing her to begin with. She could have paraded her dead body. I mean, it wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been as strong an image, but at the same time, she was going to kill her, so why didn't she just kill her? All right. Now, I've not mentioned Molly Ringwald's character at all, but she does play quite the role. She was the only person that was ever suspicious of Doreen, and she actually was the Cassandra of the story, saying, hey, like, she attacked me, but, I got away. Well, she didn't really see her. Nobody believed her because Doreen's this timid, woman who would never harm anybody. She ends up getting fired because of Doreen. And, well, Doreen sends her an email to cover her tracks, saying that, posing as Nora, saying that Nora had to kill Doreen because Doreen had killed everybody else, and that now Nora is on the run. Well, no, it's Doreen has killed everybody and is on the run. She gets away with it. This leads me to my final point that is somewhat unbelievable. She has left emails everywhere. She's been sending emails as Gary, emails as another one of the bosses there who she killed by switching out her asthma medication. And she has sent this final email to Molly Ringwald's character. This can be traced back. She's got her own station set up in her house. It should have been pretty easy to catch her because of that. Even back in 1997, they should have been able to do that. IP addresses are a thing, You can't get away with that kind of thing. But, again, because I enjoyed this movie so much, I'm able to forgive it. Now, last week, I gave down a 5 or 6. I want to lower that. I want to put that down at a 4, even though I wasn't mad about it. But I do that because of the rating that I want to give to Office Killer. I liked Office Killer, but it doesn't have, it had its problems, and it doesn't have the camera work or the musical score that helps you out. You do a lot of the work in this movie. Now, the camera doesn't focus in and give you a great shot on the things that you're supposed to be scared of. The music doesn't ramp up to get your emotions going. You kind of just have to pick that up, pick what's going on in the movie up and run with it. And for those reasons, I'm gonna have to give this movie a 6.5. It was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I may even watch it again, but if I watch it again, it's going to be with people who have never seen it before, and we're going to sit around and just kind of have a laugh with it. It's a good movie to see at least once in a serious setting, but then you can have all sorts of fun with it later on. All right, I want you to subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter at ILikeRice5. Let me know what kind of movies you want to see me talk about, and leave me any comments that you would like. I'll probably read them at some point. All right, have a good one.